Praviradacharya Ashtatar Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananti Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Praise Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kuna Radha Kuna Giri Govardhana Ki Vrindavan Dhama Ki Mathura Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Ganga Maya Ki Samadvaita Bhakti Vrinda Ki All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Dhanjana Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Dhanjana Yamuna Tira Vanachadi. Cartels? You can play. Yamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jayara Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Ho. So we'll be reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you want. This is a continuation from chapter 18. And today we'll read text 12 through 23. Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. What time the class goes until? What time the class goes until? 8:20. Okay. So as usual, we'll read 11 verses, starting on text 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 12. Anishtam Ishtam Mishram Cha Trividham Karmana Palam Bhagavatyathigginam Pretya Natu Sanyasinam Kvachit. Text 13 through 14. Panchaitani Mahabhaho Karanani Nibodhame Sankhyayi Krityanti Proktani Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam Adhishtanam Tathakarta Karanam Cha Pritag Vidham Vividhas Cha Pritag Chestha Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam Shariravan Manobhiryat Karma Parabhate Nara Nyayam Va Viparitam Va Panchaite Tasya Hetava Tatraivam Sati Kartaram Atmanam Kevalam Tuyaha Pashyantakrita Buddhitvan Nasa Pashyati Durmati Yasyanyaham Krito Bhavo Buddhir Yasya Nalipyate Hatvapi Sa Imalokan Nahanti na nibhadyate Jnanam gyayam parigyatha Trividha karma chodhana Karanam karma karteti Trividha karma sangraha Jnanam karma cha karta cha Tridvaiva guna bhedhatha Prochate guna sankhyane yatave trinutanyapi sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayamikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajjnanam vidhi sattvikam Prithakvena tu yajjnanam nana bhavan prithakvidhan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tajjnanam vidhi rajasam yat tu kritsnavadaksmam ekasmin karye shaktam ahoitukam atat vartavad alpam cha tattamasam udarhitam niyatam sangarahitam aragadveshta kritam apala pripsuna karma yatat satvikamuchate. So we will go back to text 12. And now we read all the translations. Is that how we do it?
Yeah, basically translation and the reports
Do we do all the translations consecutively, usually? Oh, okay. So text 12, translation. For one who has not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. Purport: a person in Krishna consciousness or in the mode of goodness does not hate anyone or anything which troubles his body. He does work in the proper place and at the proper time without fearing the troublesome effects of his duty. Such a person situated in transcendence should be understood to be most intelligent and beyond all doubts in his activities. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Can someone repeat this verse, please, in the mic?
For one who has not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death, but those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy.
Okay, so we heard yesterday this is a summary of the topics mentioned before. But nothing that Krishna says will be unimportant. This is a very important section, and what we covered today is very important. So to start off, we're hearing about threefold fruits of action. Whenever we act, some result is coming. And the problem is, if it is not pure action, then it's binding us. So we will soon hear how to get out of that, but everything we do is creating some karma. Unless it is, actually it's mentioned here, unless one is in the renounced order of life. And we could say that this doesn't necessarily mean a formal thing, but one who can act in a renounced way, they will not accrue these karmas, these fruits. So let us continue in here, because we have some more purports coming up. Does someone mind reading the next translation and purport?
Text 13 to 14. Translation. O mighty armed Arjuna, learn from me of the 5 factors which bring about the accomplishment of all action. These are declared in Sankhya philosophy to be the place of action, the performer, the senses, the endeavor, and ultimately the supersoul. Purport. A question may be raised that since any activity performed must have some reaction, How is it that the person in Krishna consciousness does not suffer or enjoy the reactions of work? The Lord is citing Vedanta philosophy to show how this is possible. He says that there are 5 causes for all activities and for success in all activity, and one should know these 5 causes. Sankhya means the stock of knowledge, and Vedanta is the final stock of knowledge accepted by all leading acharyas. Even Shankara accepts Vedanta Sutra as such, therefore such authority should be consulted. The ultimate will is invested in the Supersoul, as it is stated in the Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Priti. He is engaging everyone in certain activities. Acts done under his direction from within yield no reaction, either in this life or in the life after death. The instruments of action are the senses, and by senses the soul acts in various ways, and for each and every action there is a different endeavor. But all one's activities depend on the will of the Supersoul, who is seated within the heart as a friend. The Supreme Lord is the super cause. Under these circumstances, he who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Supersoul situated within the heart is naturally not bound by any activity. Those in complete Krishna consciousness are not ultimately responsible for their actions. Everything is dependent on the Supreme Will, the Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Amazing. So we will hear how the context is Arjuna who has to fight this battle. And this goes back to the original, how the Bhagavad Gita discussion arose, that Arjuna didn't want to be responsible for killing. He didn't want the effect of that. He felt he was unable to do that. So now here in the last chapter, Krishna is very carefully explaining, and Prabhupada is bringing out in the purports, how this actually works, that one who is acting under direction of the Supersoul is not bound by any activity. Those in complete Krishna consciousness are not ultimately responsible for their actions. So that's a very interesting concept. Generally we are told that you are responsible for your actions. But the idea here is that because Sarvasya Chaham Pradisannivishto, Krishna is in the heart, if one can properly hear the guidance that the Supersoul is giving and act according to that, then one is not acting on their own. Actually, they're becoming transparent. And our goal is actually to become an instrument of Krishna. See, right now we're not an instrument, we're acting, we have different ways that we act. We're not able to be, we could say, like a clear channel. But when the heart becomes completely purified, then one is simply the instrument of Krishna. You know, in a tool, when you use a tool, it's just acting according to your desire. But similarly, the pure devotee, they just act according to Krishna's desire. And so we see in the life of Prabhupada how powerful that is. Someone can just act for Krishna's pleasure, how they revolutionized the whole planet. So let's continue here. Text 15.
Translation. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Purport. The words right and wrong are very significant in this verse. Right work is work done in terms of the prescribed directions in the scriptures, and wrong work is work done against the principles of the scriptural injunctions. But whatever is done requires these 5 factors for its complete performance.
Yes. There's this verse, Yasha Sastrastim Utsrajya, that one who gives up the injunctions of the scriptures, Kama Kartate, they act under the impulse of lust. So this is our first phase, the first phase of life, learning what are the religious principles, studying Shastra. Unless we have that base of knowledge, then we can easily be misled, we can be bewildered. Our mind, our material conditioning can easily try to convince us that something is dharmic, but it may ultimately not be. So therefore, right and wrong is mentioned here. Right work is work done in terms of the prescribed directions in the scriptures. That takes a lot of study. It takes a lot of study to understand what is prescribed duty and what is not duty. So therefore, the brahmacharya period is meant for studying the Vedas under the guidance of the spiritual master to prepare one for our life. Here you all have this wonderful opportunity every day, twice a day. Not so many temples are really doing this full program, but it's very nourishing. And if we want to be a preacher, then we have to know the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said, we've heard that you should know this like a textbook. Like in the law, they quote different cases, everything. So we're meant to be very expert in this, and then we can try to become instruments for spreading it. We want to try to become an instrument in Krishna's hands, so we're trying to follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction. You should study and preach Bhagavad Gita all over the world. And we can see how much this world needs that. There is so much religious confusion in the world. Why? Because people are not aware of religious principles. They don't understand prescribed duties. They haven't sufficiently studied. They have not come to the higher understanding of religion. Therefore they're fighting on account of religion. And this is, as we hear in this section, under the modes of material nature. Religion under the modes of nature. Religious practice in the mode of goodness, religious practice in the mode of passion, devotional service under the modes of nature. It can be very dangerous. Yes, they're aspiring to serve God, but if the modes of nature are too prominent, the lower modes of nature, in the name of serving God, terrible things happen. Terrible, terrible. The opposite, because in the mode of ignorance, what is actually good, you think is bad. And what is bad, you think is good. That's a symptom of ignorance. So again, therefore we need to present this spiritual science to alleviate these misconceptions that are rampant in the world. Therefore Prabhupada is called, and Prabhupada's Gurudev was known as the Singha Guru, the Lion Guru, and not a doe Guru or a deer Guru. The Lion Guru, very fierce, very fiercely attacking the misconceptions, apasiddhanta, things against the conclusion of the scriptures. So Prabhupada was very strong. In most of the Vyasasana they have like a lion, or sometimes the temples they have lions on the front. So that's the spirit of the Acharya. So we should try to understand the prescribed duties in order to actually understand and be in a clear state of mind, which is characteristic of the mode of goodness. That's what we will hear coming up. I'll read text 16. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Purport: a foolish person cannot understand that the Supersoul is sitting as a friend within and conducting his actions. Although the material causes are the place, the worker, the endeavor, and the senses. So these we should know. 5 material causes, or 4 actually. Place, worker, endeavor, and senses. The final cause is the Supreme, this personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should not see only the 4 material causes, but the Supreme efficient cause as well. One who does not see the Supreme thinks himself to be the instrument. So I find this very relevant as devotees, as we are aspiring devotees, because in the material world we always think, I'm great, I'm the doer. Whatever we did, we thought it was us. Maybe we were doing some sports and we scored a goal. Yeah, I did it. Or maybe we got good grades, or maybe whatever we were doing, we were thinking, I did it. So that we were ignorant. We were actually ignorant of the final cause. And in devotional life, we're carrying that tendency, that conditioning into our spiritual life, and that becomes problematic. Because then, in devotional activities, again, we try to take credit. Whenever we try to take credit, we see the mercy disappears. It doesn't disappear, but it diminishes. Because Krishna doesn't like pride in the heart of his devotee. And Krishna is very expert to remove that pride. If we become a little proud, then Krishna knows just how to deflate that. And that is arising because one is not able to see that the Supreme as the ultimate cause. Any good thing we can do, we cannot take credit for that. It's not that I did it. No. We tried to serve the Lord, and by His being the supreme cause, He sanctions things to happen. So that becomes very important. Otherwise, pride can come into our devotional practices, and then that can ruin them. Text 17 seems to describe the contrary, the person who is free. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, he is not the slayer, nor is he bound by his actions. Purport. In this verse, the Lord informs Arjuna that the desire not to fight arises from false ego. Arjuna thought himself to be the doer of action, but he did not consider the supreme sanction within and without. If one does not know that a super sanction is there, why should he act? But one who knows the instrument of work, himself as the worker, and the Supreme Lord as the supreme sanctioner, is perfect in doing everything. Such a person is never an illusion. Personal activity and responsibility arise from false ego and godlessness, or lack of Krishna consciousness. Anyone who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Super Soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though killing does not kill, nor is he ever affected with the reaction of such killing. When a soldier kills under the command of a superior officer, he is not subject to be judged. But if a soldier kills on his own personal account, then he is certainly judged by a court of law. So the idea, if we're not acting according to the direction of the Super Soul, then we're acting independently, and then we're responsible, then we generate karma. But if we can act under the guidance of the Lord, under the guidance of the spiritual master, then one is not guilty, one is not acting in false ego, or it says here, getting the reaction. So we are in a purification process, we're trying more and more to come to that level. Text 18. Would you like to read this one? Bhakti Caleb, or anyone else?
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the three factors which motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer comprise the threefold basis of action. Purport. There are three kinds of impetus for daily work: knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower. The instruments of work, the work itself, and the worker are called the constituents of work. Any work done by any human being has these elements. Before one acts, there is some impetus, which is called inspiration. Any solution arrived at before work is actualized is a subtle form of work. Then work takes the form of action. First, one has to undergo the psychological processes of thinking, feeling, and willing, and that is called impetus. Actually, the faith to perform acts is called knowledge. The inspiration to work is the same if it comes from the scripture or from the instructions of the spiritual master. When the inspiration is there and the worker is there, then actual activity takes place by the help of the senses. The mind is the center of all senses, and the object is work itself. These are the different phases of work as described in the Bhagavad Gita. The sum total of all activities is called accumulation of work.
So this is just, it's kind of unpacking whenever we see any actions going on, what's really happening. Again, prakritim the material nature, those under the influence of material nature, they think they are the cause of the results of their actions. What's that verse? Yeah, very good. Ahankari vimudatma kartaha mitimani, thinking oneself the doer. And the mind is also working. It's mentioned here that's the subtle form of work. So we are there also have to be careful with our mind. The mind is described as the more flickering than the wind, like a wild horse. The analogy is given. One has to very carefully control the mind. Otherwise the mind can very quickly take us very far away, if you've ever had this experience. So it's not that we should become obsessive or fearful, but we need to constantly redirect our mind. When the mind goes somewhere, we have to bring it back to where it should go. And we do that with the staying in good association, keeping in the mind the devotees of the Lord, not materialistic people. You can see how fast the consciousness plummets when we associate even mentally with the materialistic people. We forget about the goal of life. It seems unimportant. It seems not so important. Just by their contact. Because we take the qualities of whomever we associate with. Even if we're subtly associating with someone by thinking about them. Have you ever had this experience? It's very powerful. It can really, whoever we think about, then we start identifying, we start taking those qualities. And therefore there's such glorification to think, even to think about a pure devotee, the devotees, the guru. Contrastingly, that immediately puts us in proper consciousness. Therefore every morning we start our morning thinking about our Guru Dev, how we can serve them, how we get mercy from offering this Mangalarti prayer, to meditate on them and their qualities, to start our day. So we're on guard against the mind, and again we need to be educated to know what is proper contemplation. How can everything be connected to Krishna? If we're thinking of things connected to Krishna, then we're safe. Otherwise, we are in illusion. So we're hearing about these different constituents of action. Let's read text 19.
In accordance with the three modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge: action and performers of action. Listen as I describe them. Purport. In the 14th chapter, the three divisions of the modes of material nature were elaborately described. In that chapter, it was said that the mode of goodness is illuminating, the mode of passion, materialistic, and the mode of ignorance, conducive to laziness and indolence. All the modes of material nature are binding. They are not sources of liberation. Even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned. In the 17th chapter, the different types of worship by different types of men in different modes of material nature were described. In this verse, the Lord wishes to speak about the different types of knowledge, workers, and work itself according to the three material modes.
All the modes of material nature are binding. Even the mode of goodness, even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned. So now we'll hear how everything is influenced by the modes of nature, including action, and this is a very important next few verses. Text 20, that knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existences, undivided in the divided, is knowledge in the mode of goodness. Can you read the purport?
A person who sees one spirit soul in every living being, whether a demigod, human being, animal, bird, beast, aquatic, or plant, possesses knowledge in the mode of goodness. In all living entities, one spirit soul is there, although they have different bodies in terms of their previous work. As described in the 7th chapter, the manifestation of the living force in every body is due to the superior nature of the Supreme Lord. Thus, to see that one superior nature, that living force in every body, is to see in the mode of goodness. That living energy is imperishable, although the bodies are perishable. The difference is perceived in terms of the body because there are many forms of material existence in conditional life. Therefore, they appear to be divided. Such impersonal knowledge finally leads to self-realization.
Okay, we're going to do these together because they're related. Text 21. That knowledge by which a different type of living entity is seen to be dwelling in different bodies is knowledge in the mode of passion. Purport. The concept that the material body is the living entity, and that with the destruction of the body, the consciousness is also destroyed, is called knowledge in the mode of passion. And this is the default conception of life. The material body is the living entity. That is you. This is me. I look like this. You look like that. This is knowledge in the mode of passion. According to that knowledge, bodies differ from one another because of the development of different types of consciousness. Otherwise, there is no separate soul which manifests consciousness. The body is itself the soul. There is no separate soul beyond this body. According to such knowledge, consciousness is temporary. Or else there is no individual souls, but there is an all-pervading soul, which is full of knowledge. And this body is a manifestation of temporary ignorance. Or beyond this body, there is no special individual or supreme soul. All such conceptions are considered products of the mode of passion. And 22. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-all, without knowledge of the truth, which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Purport. The quote, knowledge of the common man is always in the mode of darkness or ignorance, because every living entity in conditional life is born into the mode of ignorance. One who does not develop knowledge through the authorities or scriptural injunctions has knowledge that is limited to the body. He's not concerned about acting in terms of the directions of Scripture. For him, God is money, and knowledge means the satisfaction of the bodily demands. Such knowledge has no connection with the absolute truth. It is more or less like the knowledge of the ordinary animals. The knowledge of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Such knowledge is described here as the product of the mode of darkness. In other words, knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond this body is called knowledge in the mode of goodness, and knowledge producing many theories and doctrines by dint of mundane logic and mental speculation is the product of the mode of passion, and knowledge concerned with only keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So this is how people see life differently. It's the same experience going on, but based on the purification of consciousness, completely different vision is perceived. The same phenomenon is there, but it's just seen in a completely different way. In the mode of goodness, one can see this presence of the soul in all bodies. And I think even as devotees, we may not fully be there. I know myself, if I go out in the forest, I just see trees and bushes, and grass. I don't always remember the soul. Ideally, when we see animals, there's more facility for their consciousness, so it's easier to remember, and especially human beings. But one who's in the mode of goodness, they perceive the soul. They don't just identify people with their body. And this is a big trap for devotees, that even we identify people with their body. We make judgments, we make criticisms. It's mentioned in the Nectar of Instruction that it's an offense to consider the devotee in terms of their material body. Drishtai svabhava janitayar vapushascha doshar na prakritatvam iha bhaktya janasya pashyat. The Gambudam, according to the Ganga, if there's some dirt or anything in the Ganga, it doesn't mean the Ganga is impure. Similarly, the body of the devotee should never be seen from an external point of view. We can really explore this. One should not identify the devotee with their material body or the apparent faults of the material body. I would like to pull that verse up, if you'll allow me. This is from the Nectar of Instruction. If you have your device, you can also pull it up. Rupa Goswami has given a complete summary of 11 instructions to the highest level. And in only 11 instructions, he makes an important point. This is in text 6. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. I think it's okay. I don't think we're going to get there in time. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. And Prabhupada has a very nice purport here. But why Rupa Goswami is bringing this up? Because this is the knowledge in the mode of passion, to identify with the material body. I think it's okay, Jagannath. It's just a little distracting. So, now here's the question. When you think of Prabhupada, what do we think of? So, Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee. Being situated as Krishna conscious person, Prabhupada does not identify with his body. And he should never be seen from a materialistic point of view. So this is very deep. This means our vision, we may still be on the bodily platform, but Krishna consciousness is changing our perspective. In the mode of passion, one identifies one with the body. Mode of goodness, ultimately we're meant to go beyond that concept of the material concept of life. Actually, the soul of every living entity has an eternal form. Muktir hitvanyata rupa svarupena vyavastiti. Real mukti is to be situated in one's spiritual form. So we have to act in this world, but we should not try to cultivate a materialistic point of view. And this refers to the pure devotee. It also refers just to people in general. When we see people and we think maybe on Sankirtan, oh, I should talk to them, I shouldn't talk to them, or this is so-and-so, or this person is like this, then we're seeing under these modes of nature, under the mode of passion. And then there's the mode of ignorance, in which it's very interesting how Prabhupada explains. It is more or less like the knowledge of ordinary animals. The knowledge of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. This is the knowledge as the product of ignorance. And Prabhupada says, for such a person, God is money. So when that bodily consciousness is so strong, what's the most important thing? That's basically what you consider God. Whatever's most important. So in that very low-level consciousness, it must be money. That is their God. Even biblically, it said you cannot serve two masters, God and mammon, or money. And knowledge means the satisfaction of bodily demands. So in the materialistic point of view, the more you can satisfy your bodily demands, that's knowledge. Because that allows you to get to God. Whatever your concept of God may be in this darkening of the consciousness. Such knowledge has no connection with the absolute truth. So, Prabhupada says that this is considered knowledge in the mode of ignorance. So, these are important things to contemplate because we're in this world and we may not be aware of the subtle influences of the modes of material nature, but the more we come to knowledge, the more we understand our philosophy and we try to come more to the mode of goodness, then it's like a whole new world awakening. You enter a new world. And it doesn't matter that the world changes, but your perception of it changes. This world is in one sense, a terrible place. It's just a place of suffering and misery. So when you become Krishna conscious, does the world transform and everyone is now happy? Actually, the world is still there, but your vision has changed. So Krishna consciousness is the inner. It's about developing the proper vision. Not necessarily things outside will change, but our vision of things will change. In the last text, 23. As for actions, that action in accordance with duty, which is performed without attachment, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive results, is called action in the mode of goodness. So now we're moving on to a different categorization, that of action. And here, action in the mode of goodness. All of our actions will also be under the influence of the modes, as long as we're conditioned. And what is this desirable mode of goodness action? It's done in accordance with duty, without attachment, without love or hate, by one who's renounced fruitive results. Purport: regulated occupational duties as prescribed in the scriptures, in terms of the different orders and divisions of society, performed without attachment or proprietary rights, and therefore without any love or hatred, and performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme, without self-satisfaction or self-gratification, are called actions in the mode of goodness. So Prabhupada has brought this to the transcendental level, saying actions performed in Krishna consciousness. So in devotional service, then there is no attachment. And actually this is Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. In the mode of goodness, one is acting out of duty. First we have to come, before we can come to the transcendental level, first we have to come to the level of duty. Without attachment. Then love comes. We need to uplift our consciousness to make it a fertile ground for the feelings of love. One cannot arise to the platform of love from the lower modes of nature. First one has to come to the mode of goodness. Prabhupada says from the mode of goodness, then everything regarding how to advance in devotional life will be automatically revealed. So I want to cultivate habits in the mode of goodness, cleanliness, speech, dealings with others, times of the day. We're seeking to increase our sadhana, a life in the mode of goodness. That means less passion, less chaos, disorganized, unplanned, rushing. All of those things, they take us out of sattva gun. And ultimately, devotional service brings one automatically. So by continuing to engage in devotional service, one will automatically come to goodness and beyond also. Krishna explains this after he says, Brahma bhuta prasanatmana shochati na kanchati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. I'm blanking on the second verse of that. That one who engages in devotional service without fail, they automatically attain this Brahma Bhuta platform. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. To engage in bhakti, one will automatically rise up through the modes and ultimately transcend them. So I'll stop here for now. Thank you all so very much. Any questions or comments? Okay, quick comment or question, Prabhu? We'll do it later. No, welcome, Prabhu. Okay, Bhagavad Gita as it is, ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripasindu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.